On this episode of Real Talk, we're going to talk about how foster care is definitely not an individual sport. Who's your team? So, we've talked before about your village, okay? Can you talk to us about how did you build your village of people? Which were not just respite care, but your whole village. How did you guys go about building that before they even came and after they were there?
I think so. I mean, the neat thing is a lot of our friends were very supportive of us with the foster, going through the training. Because it really starts...
Yeah, you tell your friends and family, like, what you're doing and that you're going through foster training classes to become a foster parent.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, I want to help,
or they're kind of, no, I mean, some, or they're like, wow, that's crazy.
The hard part for us is a lot of our friends were in the same stage we were of having, being kind of overwhelmed with our own kids.
Yeah.
But I do think between, our church and our friends and a ministry, we're involved in a ministry called Young Life, people were able to come in and help and be a part of it. And
in different ways,
what
whatever
were some
ways
of the
they
ways
could.
that they did help? Like, what were some of the things that your village did for you?
A big thing, like right when we got our first placement, was a meal train and having meals just dropped off, and some of them were strangers and they would just leave it on your front step, which is nice because you don't have to meet
Take time to interact.
Well, I have 5 kids fighting or running around and destroying my home. It's like they just would leave it on the door and you had dinner. That was a big thing. Just in general, being supportive. Like, I just remember during this first month, just getting random Venmos of, $5 saying, go get coffee today. And, I would be like, thank you, it just, would come at the right time.
I think just even to play together, to say, why don't you guys all come over and play, and just, because it's a lot, with 5 kids. And so just having the opportunity for all the kids to play and just have adult conversation and was important.
And people, and just having friends that get that and are, again, willing to kind of embrace your chaos that you're bringing with you when you have your 5 kids, 5 and under, in their home or playing with their kids. And it was cool, doing park play dates. And then, I remember so specifically my friend was explaining to her son, trying to explain who these new kids were that we had with us and why they looked differently than us, and who, it was just a cool moment. And it's and she was excited and she wanted to do play dates with us because she wanted her boys to love new kids and kids that, again, look differently than them and have been through experiences, and just kind of make it their family ministry to love our family and the foster kids.
What advice would you have for people that are just starting out about getting a village or
being vulnerable?
And I think you can't be afraid to ask, to be afraid to ask. A lot of times you feel like, if you have those people, and you kind of have them in the loop, a lot of times I remember Maddie be like, I don't want to ask them, I don't want to call, and I don't, we had...
I'm really bad at that part, asking for help, but thankfully I would have Jeff. Again, why marriages are created the way that they are, that he would call people for me, and I wouldn't even really know, but I didn't have to be the one to ask. Jeff would ask for me and tell them, hey, Maddie's really struggling today.
Jeff, what was the reaction? Overall, when you would say,
people
hey,
want to help. People want to help.
And they always stepped up and helped.
Even after the case, I remember the time of when we had to have our agency find respite care. Yeah. I remember... You called and said, call me at work. We were like, well, you're at school. You can't do it.
We wouldn't have called you. You're working.
And you said, call me. I could take, I could have found a way
figured it
to
out.
help.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of things, okay, people really do want to help step in. And so I think
for us, it's you don't ever want to inconvenience people. That was...
But we want to help, too. I look back and, when I have friends that say, can you go out of your way to do this or check on this? Or, we have to run to the hospital to have our baby. Would you stay with our family? And I love it.
Yes, we
love
feel honored to be asked, but then you don't think
wonder,
that people want to do that
too?
for you.
So your advice is, yes.
Ask.
Ask people.
You have to ask.